definitely miss out here at reading time in the evening.
I don't think they're gonna let me work. At least she won't. That is Orlando to Ottawa, and then Pittsburgh, and then the medical helicopter. So you know I'm about to say my prayers. The plane spotting conditions are so good today. So that one is one that I never see. It's from Cancun going to Fredericton, which is in Canada. And this one was going to LaGuardia, I don't remember from where. And then the clip before was Fort Myers to Newark.
Hey guys, and welcome to a new vlog. This is the reading reset. We are going to be getting ready for a whole new month of reading for the month of May. But I do want to go over the books that we are going to be reading this week. We are starting out with the weekly TBR. My short story collection that I start my days with is Here Be Icebergs by Katia Adai, translated by Rosalind Harvey. This is talking about the layers of being a family, but make it Uncanny Valley. Next, we have the book that Loki put me in a reading slump over the weekend, and that is Lotharingia, Personal History of Europe's Lost Country by Simon Winder. I have like 100 pages left of this. I think that title's pretty self-explanatory. I'm struggling with that. Next we have my mood read, which this is one that I could finish, I think tomorrow, but maybe today. We'll just have to see. And that is The Pisces by Melissa Broder. This is about Lucy, who she's gone through a very dramatic breakup. It was like a 10-year-long relationship, and the ending went up in flames. She goes to California to dog sit for her very rich sister, who has a house or a mansion that's oceanfront in Venice Beach. Lucy goes out on the beach at night just to have time for herself. And she meets a guy on the beach who might indeed be a merman. And she is trying to find herself, trying to find out what love is, what lust is after this breakup. Actually, I did start a new ebook. I am about a quarter of the way into it, and that is The Lily and the Lion by Maurice Drouin. This is the 6th book in the Accursed King series. We had Philip the Fair, who he was king of France. He had a few sons. I don't remember the exact number, but they're all cursed. And this is following them and how this, I guess, dynasty, is this the Capetian dynasty, how it comes to an end. But this is a very influential series. I don't know if y'all saw the blurb on the front, but it inspired George R. R. Martin. And I mean, even Vladimir Putin is a fan of this series. That might make some people not want to pick it up. But I'm just saying, it's a very diverse crowd, a very diverse audience who likes these books. And yes, if you like political, historical fiction, court intrigue, that is what is in that book. But I do want to tell y'all, this vlog is going to be a little bit different because the playoffs are going on in the FPHL, which is the hockey league that I follow. I will be going to a game on Wednesday night. I do go to games like every week. I go to every home game. I should say I try to. I haven't been to every single home game, but I try to. They are typically on days that I'm not vlogging because I don't vlog on the weekend. We're in the playoffs. This is round 2 of the playoffs. So therefore the game is on Wednesday against the Columbus River Dragons. Y'all are going to get to experience the playoff hockey with me. That's going to be a lot of fun. It was so much fun this past weekend. We swept Athens, which have been our rivals, we beat them so bad, they were like, we're leaving the league and going to a different league. That's what happened. That's what happened. I'm joking. They've known like all season, I would assume, that they were moving. I'm going to see if I can get some reading done in here, and then we are going to do some bookish activities. I filmed my haul for the month right before I filmed this, so we are going to get those books sorted, all logged into my phone and then on the shelves. I'm aware that y'all might be a little crooked, but deal with it. These are all the books that I've hauled this month. These are ones that have been in quarantine, so some of these might not have actually been in April, but we quarantine books around here so they don't get mold, bed bugs, whatever. These are books that I got secondhand, when these are books that I bought. What am I doing with the books that I hauled? I am going to log them on a Goodreads, Fable, and Storygraph, because some of these apps or websites have where it's like, books you've read that you've owned, ones that you haven't owned, and then how I make my TBRs, I do it through Goodreads, looking at what books I own on the shelves. Also, this is so they're logged on there. If I'm in a store and I'm like, oh, this sounds good, do I own it already? Because that has happened before. And I'm like, okay, I don't own this because it's not on one of these shelves. So it's just a way for me to sort my books. I do have subscriptions with Kindle Unlimited and Audible, and I want to make sure that I am using those subscriptions. Now, this is not a foolproof method. Let me tell you all that firsthand. I will put a sticky note on the book. I will write Kindle or Audible for, you know, whichever one that it is on, so I know that, okay, I can also read this book, have an audiobook when I need it, things like that. And then I will sort these books by genres, and we will get them on the shelves where I have free spots. With these, I do have some free spots over here and on some of my other shelves upstairs as well in my storage room. But let's get to sorting. Y'all, I just realized I was not writing the books down on my little notepad. So after I finish doing all this, they're not going to be in the order I bought them in, but they're going to be in order by genre. I had meant to show y'all the books that I've been in quarantine because they were not featured in my haul video. We have Civilization, The Rest, and the West and the Rest by Niall Ferguson. This is economics, politics, history all put together. Another nonfiction is, oh, that was from a little library. This is from a little library. The South Never Plays Itself, A Film Bluff's Journey Through the South on Screen by Ben Beard. Another little free library is Guest on Earth by Lee Smith. Now we have my Goodwill books, and we have Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn, The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway, Paper Towns by John Green, and Pasadena by David Ebershoff. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I am sorry. When I mispronounce these names, I'm not meaning to disrespect people. I'm bad at pronouncing things. But those were the books I wanted to show y'all. I got to 94% in Lotharingia. There's like 20 pages left. I don't want to overdo it because, as I said, this book is making me feel like I am in a slight slump, even though this is the last book on the TBR this month. So once I'm done with this, it's like, whew, weight lifted off the shoulders. I only have 2 notes to talk about with y'all. One is about this place called Arras, A-R-R-A-S, in France. They had a military facility there from 1672 to 2010. The American mind in here cannot comprehend that. That is so crazy. They had a facility that was active for that long. Now, I do know there are places in the United States that have been around for that long. I know some of the universities like Harvard, William & Mary, those places have been around since the 1600s, but still, that is so crazy to think about having something function for that long. And that was the biggest threat in this town until the World Wars happened. Next is the town of Spa, which is in present-day Belgium. That is where the word spa apparently comes from. Quote, turning illness into happy racket is what spa was known for. And now spa is a word that we all know. We see it everywhere. It comes from the name of that town, which I would have never thought. I don't know where I thought that word came from, but I never knew it came from a town. That is all for Lotharingia for the day. I just finished the Pisces, so we will do Call Pal. The characters I am going to give a 5-star. They're very realistic, and it's going to make some people uncomfortable by how realistic they are because this author doesn't hold back. She writes thoughts that people actually have, even if they don't want to admit it. It's just because this character is so unstable. Like, this whole cast of characters is unstable, if I'm being honest with y'all. They all are absolutely not perfect at all. They are just so realistic and layered. Would flaws be the main focus? Yes, I would say so. That's a question that Storygraph asks. And every book I read, I'm like, yeah. Flaws. They're a thing. Almost of the shivers. Atmosphere. I do love the tone of this. I am going to give the atmosphere a 4 because it's just so vulgar. It says erotic on one of these. Yeah, explosive, erotic, searchingly funny. That's what Entertainment Weekly said. I would agree with that 100%. Very just vulgar, erotic. It's not going to be for everybody. It's not. This is going to be very disturbing to a lot of people. And yeah, it's disturbing. This book is disturbing. It's very, very sexual. I felt just dirty having my audiobook playing on speaker, even though nobody else except Fred is hearing it. But I'm like, this is something else. Writing is where I'm just like, I don't know. It's very, very stream of consciousness where it got tedious at times, especially in the middle of the book. So I do think I'm gonna give writing a 3 because I did enjoy just like how witty and comical the writing style was, and I did like the stream of consciousness. But as I said, after a while, especially in the middle of the book, it got tedious and the plot got repetitive, so I guess we are going into the plot. But I do like the themes and symbolism and metaphors that are here, that I think this can represent addiction, that you ultimately at the end of the day have to say to yourself. You can't just be like, once I have a boyfriend, once I have a job, once I finish this project, all of that kind of stuff, you can fill in the blank. That isn't going to fix anything. At the end of the day, it has to be you. You have to save yourself. I really like this part of with the character therapist, I guess in quotes, was like, what is it that you want? Because like you could be like, okay, I want a boyfriend, I want a girlfriend, whatever you're into. But you're like, okay, what is it that I really want? Do I want honesty? Do I want loyalty? Those kind of things. Like, do I just want to feel wanted? I think is a lot of people feel that. So again, you can just fill in the blank with what works for you. And it's like, okay, if this is what you want, the security, safety, money, financial, whatever, that's what I want. I don't need to go look for that in another person, because if you go into something with the wrong mindset, you better do it all on your own. I mean, you shouldn't do it at all, but you don't want to hurt other people in the process. I do really just love how we are seeing this character go through trial and error as she is finding herself after this relationship. So we are going to get the plot a 4. Sorry, I was looking at I gave characters a 5. The intrigue, as I said, I didn't know where this book would go, and there would be sometimes when I would make predictions, but then it would take a sudden twist that, again, the author doesn't hold back. I never knew how far she would go, but again, it did drag at parts in the middle. So I am going to give intrigue a 3. Logic is where I struggle, but I do think everything made sense. We're going to give that a 4, and enjoyment a 4. And when I say everything makes sense, it's just because the character work and the journey of how we got from point A to point B, or I always am like, oh, that's just the next letter. We're talking from page 1 to page 270, I think this book is. It makes sense of how the character got from that first page to the end page. So that's why I do logic. I'm going to do the math now and see where this ranks. When we do the math, it gets a 3.85, so that is a 4-star in my book. This is a great book, and yes, I do recommend it, but as I said, this is not going to be for everybody. But read that first paragraph of the book, and you will know if this isn't for you. You can literally go, if you type in a book name on Google, they will give you like the first 5 pages of a book to see like a sample. Read that. Again, really, you can just read the first paragraph and you will know if this is or isn't for you. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was a great book. I had a lot of fun with it, but it did drag at times. That was my main issue. But overall, I did really enjoy the Pisces by Melissa Broder. This was my second book by her, and I've enjoyed and pretty much loved, yeah, everything that I've read by her. I do own Death Valley by her, so maybe I will get to that book. Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Today we are doing another reset activity. We are going to go through all the books that I've completed so far this month, and if I'm unhauling them, I will put my business card in them because they are going to go to little free libraries. I donate all the books that I unhaul. Ones that I am unhauling and going to little free libraries, I will put my business card in because chances are that if you're at a little free library, you enjoy reading, if they want reading recommendations, they can come to my channel and get them from moi. And then the ones that I'm keeping, like the Pisces, I just put my stamp in that has my information, so if the book ever goes missing and somebody finds it, they'll know who to get the book back to. Let's get into it. We would change up where I vlog just to have different places, and yes, that stool is still back there because my dad hasn't had his like pickup truck or like hasn't brought it home lately, his work truck, so I haven't been able to get that to the dump or to a dumpster. But I did just finish Lotharingia. We're going to do my review because it's not called Call Pal, because for nonfiction we don't do Call Pal. When I review nonfiction, I do impact, research, structure, and writing style. This is something I started doing this year. Those are some of the like tags or whatever on the Fable app, and I think have been a good way to do Call Pal with nonfiction. I don't know if there actually is like the person who created Call Pal has created a system for reviewing nonfiction. I'm not sure. This basically goes from the time of the last ice age all the way to post-World War II Europe. The ending was like rather depressing of just seeing how cities and people had to build back after the war because a lot of people were just misplaced, I guess. Just a huge movement of people. I know a lot of people, I don't know personally, but people whose families came to America during this time period. In Stolen Beauty, that book that we read, I don't know if that was last week or 2 weeks ago, we saw Austrian characters who came to California, some went to Canada because of the impact of the war, and we're just seeing at the end of this how all of that went, and again, very depressing. I wish I could have this somewhere where y'all could see it. But overall for the impact, I am giving that we'll do a 3 because I did learn a lot. I have a bunch of random fun facts that I can just throw at people. I have, let's see, about a page and a half of notes of just random with nonfiction. It'll either be me talking about the writing style or just notes that I'm like, oh, that's interesting and want to write it down. So I do think it was good, but it wasn't the best nonfiction book that I've ever read because it's just very sporadic. It was very sporadic, and as I talked about in, I think it was last week's vlog, yeah, it was like throwing spaghetti at a wall just waiting for something to stick. That I don't know how well all of this is going to stick. And at the end of the book, the author is even saying this could have been a way shorter book, it could have been a way longer book. And I'm like, okay, why did you publish it if you don't feel 100% about it? But I guess, do we ever feel 100% about something? Like, I don't know, that just all feels weird to me. And the research, that this man did a ton of research. We're gonna give it a 4 because we just see, this has been the nonfiction book that I've read where I can see the most amount of research put into it, of all these journeys that he went on for this like trilogy. You don't have to read them in order, but just these 3 books about Germanic Europe, of all these places he went, these experiences that he had. The structure is where is going to be one of the examples where I have to give this a 2 because it was all very short and never enough to actually give me a full understanding. And it was very confusing at times because he's like, it's going to be in chronological order. Okay, we're reading about the Germans or the Romans in present day Germany, but then jump ahead to the Kaiser restoring a Roman fortress, which, yeah, I get the connection, but I would just be like, whoa, now we're dealing with Kaiser William II when we were talking about Julius Caesar. Like, that was overwhelming for me. And the writing style, yes, a 2. I did not like this writing style. It's a shock I'm not giving writing style 1, but I wrote down 2, so we're gonna do 2. There is so much, I do see that it says personal, and now I'm like, oh, okay, because the author's talking about his personal experiences. I thought it was just like, we're getting deep down and gritty that this is gonna be the personal history of Germany. It's not just Germany, but we're gonna get deep down dirty with the personal bits of Lotharingia. That's what I thought it meant, that we're doing a deep dive on it. That's this country's personality, what they're known for. But no, it's about the author's own personal experiences, which that's fine. But then he's just getting his own like personal like tidbits of being like, this book is way too long. I don't need to be writing all this. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to hear that while reading a book. That's like being like a pilot saying, if a pilot told everybody on the plane, I'm feeling unsure if we should be flying this route. There's some storms, so I'm gonna fly through it anyway. Like, no, you don't want to be hearing that. I don't want to be hearing that when I'm reading a book that you are very unsure about the product that you are putting out there. Like, no. I want to be reading something that you're 100% certain about. And even with, this is kind of going back to like the structure or whatever, we'll be going through a bit of history or geography, something like that, where I'm like, oh, I think this is what the author is trying to say. It was, like with words, like we talked about spa yesterday. I'm like, okay, I think it's in France, and I think he's saying that what we consider like a spa where, you know, people go to get a massage or whatever. I'm like, I think he's saying that that word comes from the name of the town, Spa, which was it in Belgium or France? I think it was in Belgium. See, where I would just have a hard time understanding what the author was really trying to say. And that's not good. That's not good. We're going to do the math and see where this ends up ranking. This is going to be getting a 2.75 that will go into a 3-star because I don't necessarily think this is a bad book. I do think there's a lot to be learned from it. I especially think for a travel book, this would be really good. But yeah, just know personal means Simon Winder's personal experience. So you're going to be getting that as well as history, geography, politics, economics. You're getting all of that wrapped in here as well. And that's just, I've never really read anything like that. So those are my thoughts on Lotharingia. We will be starting another nonfiction at 6 o'clock, which will be a mood read, and I will talk more about that later. It's time to talk about the book that I'm going to be starting next. So this is a mood read, and I don't like to know a whole lot going in, but since it is nonfiction, it's pretty self-explanatory. That is Britney Spears' The Woman in Me. So Britney Spears' memoir. I am going to be doing the audiobook as this is a mood read. It's only like a 5-hour audiobook. That is very short. I am going to read one paragraph from the description. The Woman in Me is a brave and astoundingly moving story about freedom, fame, motherhood, survival, faith, and hope. Here's what the book looks like without the dust jacket. We have a rose on the front, these end pages right here, and same one on the back. This, I don't know if it won a Goodreads award or if it was just nominated, but very popular the year it came out. What year was that? 2023. So this is what I'm going to be starting next. That might look a little creepy. I'm sorry, but I swear Fred and Bud are the only ones out there. But I got to a third of the way into The Woman in Me, and yes, I am really enjoying this 4-star vibes. I'm going to go through my notes. Which chapter did I get to? I got to chapter 15. I didn't expect this book to be as spiritual as it is. I'm going to talk about spiritual meanings, about music being spiritual, and that on page 4, first time I was truly touched and got shivers down my spine was hearing our housekeeper singing in the laundry room. I always did the family laundry and ironing, but when times were better financially, my mom would hire someone to help. The housekeeper sang gospel music, and it was literally an awakening to a whole new world I'll never forget. Ever since then, my longing and passion to sing have grown. Singing is magic. When I sing, I own who I am. I can communicate purely. When you sing, you stop using the language of hi, how are you? You're able to say things that are much more profound. Singing takes me to a mystical place where language doesn't matter anymore, where anything is possible. So there was that. And then after her breakup with Justin Timberlake, so on his album, I think it was Justified, he really painted her to be like the bad party in the breakup, when like really that's not how it went down. So the media really turned on her. Everywhere she went, people were booing her, and it was a really bad time. And so she goes on this road trip with another friend who just went through a breakup, and they are driving out in Arizona in the desert. It says, the sky overhead was full of stars while we drove fast through the desert in a convertible with the top down, the wind blowing in our hair, no music playing, just the sound of the night whipping past us. As we looked out at the road stretched before us, an eerie feeling settled over me. I had been moving so fast for so long, it was like I couldn't even catch my breath. Now in this moment, something filled me, a profound beauty, otherworldly and humbling. I looked over at my friend, wondering if I should say something, but what could I say? Do you believe in aliens? So I stayed quiet and sat there with a feeling for a long moment. Then I heard her voice over the wind. Do you feel that? She said. She looked at me. What is that? Whatever it was, she felt it too. I reached for her hand and held it tight. The poet Rumi says the wound is the place where the light enters you. I have always believed that. The thing we felt that night in Arizona, we felt it at that moment because we needed it. We were so spiritually open and raw, so it showed us there was more than just what we could see. Call it God, call it a higher power, call it a paranormal experience. Whatever it was real enough that we could experience it together. While it was first happening, I didn't want to bring it up to my friend because I was embarrassed. I was scared she would think I had lost my mind. There had been so many times when I was scared to speak up because I was afraid somebody would think I was crazy. But I've learned that lesson now, the hard way. You have to speak the thing that you're feeling, even if it scares you. You have to tell your story. You have to raise your voice. There was a lot I still had left to discover that night when I was lost and felt God in the desert, but I knew that I wouldn't let the darkness consume me. Even in the darkest night, you can still find so much light. Like, I wasn't expecting all the spirituality, and I'm really enjoying that. Like, that was so inspiring. Like, that little part that I just read you, was not expecting that kind of stuff in this book. But with the prologue, jumping back to that, there was a quote that she said to herself, I can make my own way in life. I can make my dreams come true. And I wish more people were like that. I think there's so many people who are just like a glass half empty kind of person, or kind of like how they think. I love people who aren't just gonna sit around and complain. They're gonna be like, okay, there's this problem and there's this thing I want. How am I going to get it? And they make a game plan. That's my favorite kind of person. So I can appreciate that Britney Spears is like that. In chapter 2, I did not expect like how relatable her story is. I don't even want to say to my own personal experience, but I think that a lot of people will be able to relate to her growing up in a small town in Louisiana. That it is just so southern and like small town in the South, because and she went to Christian school and everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I did all that, taking dance classes, everything. So it is just like reading this, I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds like she could be from my town. Like, it just makes her such a relatable and real person. But with these first few chapters, I'm gonna say about the first like 8 chapters, they were very short and fast. I mean, I read a third of the book, but I was so scared. Like, I turned down the audiobook to like 1.9, which I know to a lot of people that's probably still very fast, but I'm somebody who listens at 2 times speed. But I had to dial it back because I was like, oh my gosh, am I not getting everything? This is going by so fast. Is it just going over my head? So that's why I did turn it down, but I have since turned it back up. Those first few chapters, they were just very fast paced, and those are her chapters really about her childhood and her family history, which is our next topic, is her family background. It makes a lot of sense of knowing her own struggles that she's been through, and like her mental health battle and that kind of thing, of seeing her parents and her grandparents and their relationships between each other. because generational trauma. We talk about it a lot with a lot of books I read, fiction and nonfiction alike, that so many people go through it, and you're seeing it here. I don't know if Brittany realizes that. We will, because there's still a lot of time for her to like kind of realize like just the wheel of generational trauma and how it keeps on spinning. If you liked Minka Kelly's memoir, which I loved and I cannot think of the name right now, I think you might like this one. We have chapter 9. That is when it really steadies out the pacing of where I was like, oh my gosh, this is going so fast. I feel like I'm not real, like I'm getting what it's saying, but it just felt very surface level. But once you get to her career and once her career starts to take off is when the plot, or yeah, the plot and the pacing, when that really starts to even out and be easier to follow. And she's somebody who has just had so many labels thrown on her because, again, media and then consumers, you know, I don't want to say fans, but just people who are aware of Britney Spears and having an opinion of her. Some people are like, oh, she's too sexy, or you can't be sexy and you can't be powerful at the same time. Like, you have to be one thing or another. And she's like, why can't I just be all of these things that I want to be? Why do I have to fit into one mold? And then they had on MTV, they interviewed people in like Times Square asking them what they thought of her performance. And then they got Britney's reaction to those people. And she was like, I never set out to be a role model. I just want to dance and sing and have fun. I didn't set out to be a role model. And that's something that I do not understand, why people are like, oh, this is bad for the children. Like, okay, just don't let your kids watch it. What's the big deal? Like, I don't understand that, where people are thinking that singers and performers are supposed to be role models. Like, no. I understand if a singer sets out saying, I want to be an inspiration to kids, I want to be a role model. Like, I get that, but like, I don't get where people come from with that. And now we get to chapter 12, and she just seems like such a kind person. She's talking about her relationship with Justin Timberlake and how he did cheat on her a little bit more than she cheated on him, but she does admit that she did cheat on one instance of his cheating on her. One of her backup dancers told her, she was like, hey, Justin said this about this other woman that he hit that last night. Like, that's what he said. Brittany, she's like, I'm not going to say who it was because this woman has a successful career, married with kids, and I don't want to make things hard for her. That's not the direct quote, but you know, she didn't want to make things difficult for that woman. I was like, wow, that's like really nice of her to say all of that. Just seems like a really kind person. And those are all of my notes for the day. So yes, I am enjoying this. I was really scared for those first few chapters that were just very short, fast, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like it's just going over my head, that it's just going by so quickly, and I don't want to say not gaining anything from it. But I am enjoying The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. If I've vlogged today or not, I don't think I have, but today's the hockey game day. I'm gonna have a lot on my schedule. I have to go to the pharmacy, groceries, then come home, and then go to the game. But I am about to work on my Kindle spread. So this was my April one. April to me is rain, just spring rain showers, you know, that kind of vibe. So I just did a lot of blues, and then we do whimsy for the spring. So for May, I want to do something really bright. I think of yellow, pink, lavender. Those are the colors that I think of for May. And then flowers. So we're gonna do a really like floral garden theme for May. So let's get into it. Did not mean to vlog right here. I just put my camera here out of habit from yesterday, but it is like 4:10. I'm going to head out to the pharmacy and all, and it just changed to 19 minutes, and I'm stressed, but I don't need to be, because every time I'm stressed, everything does end up working out fine. But I don't think I'm gonna be able to get into my book for the rest of the day. I read today, don't know how many pages I read. I'm on page 137, so I probably read around 40 to 50 pages. So I am going to go over the notes, starting with chapter 16. Just like the social anxiety representation is so relatable, because it's been something I've been thinking a lot about, because I am planning on writing a post on a personal page about my experiences with social anxiety so far in 2026. I'm reading this, I just felt so seen. How she's talking about being on stage performing for thousands of people, but then get her one-on-one and she's like, oh my gosh, this is scary, I need to go find the back exit and leave. And yes, I've been there, and it is just so hard. And how for me it's like, I'm fine talking on camera and doing all of this, like I am very like I can do this, but when I get in person, I'm scared to start conversations with people, and I'm like, oh, they're probably gonna think I'm a jerk because I didn't start a conversation with them. When it's like, no, I'm just really shy. And that's what I plan to write about in my post, because I'm like, I don't want people to perceive me one way when that's not how I really am. I felt so much relatability in that journey of hers. And then talking about labels again, where we get Madonna involved, how Madonna is very much a mentor to Britney at the start of her career. And I loved seeing that, just women supporting other women, because Madonna is the queen of pop, and Britney I say is the princess of pop. I don't know if it says that, no, but that's how my label. I used to have this discussion with my dad all the time. I'm like, okay, Elvis is the king of rock, and then we would go talk Michael Jackson, Madonna, Britney Spears, like back in this era we were talking about that. Just love that Madonna didn't see like Britney as a threat, or at least it doesn't seem like it, and was just helping Britney out with her personal life and everything. Just handling fame, and fame at this level, I really appreciated that. We're talking about how you're perceived, you're either a diva, you're professional, you're nice. And Britney said that she's always wanted to be this nice girl, but she has all this other stuff thrown at her, and she talked about sometimes being too nice. And yes, that's something in 2025 where I realized that that is something that I was, and I had to find a way to say no, how she has to come to terms with that as well, and having boundaries for myself. And then the other way is that people, you're either pretty, cute, or sexy. She just wanted to be safe, alive, and sexy. She wanted to be herself. She didn't want all these other titles and labels that people were putting onto her. She just wants to be herself at the end of the day. And I think that's something we can all relate to. I was talking about how I don't want to be perceived a certain way just because I'm shy. I don't want people to think I am mean or standoffish. It's like, no, I am just scared out of my mind, and scared that you're going to judge me or be mean to me, or maybe it makes people think that I'm being like that. I don't know. Nobody's ever straight up told me that they think I'm mean or standoffish or anything, but I'm just scared of people perceiving me like that. We're being really open and vulnerable. And then what she loves about her career is the work and practice. And she said the sweat on the dance floor, and she talked about back when she was young playing basketball in school, that's what she loves. She's like, I was a basketball player, not a cheerleader. I like the blood and sweat, of performing, but it doesn't like the fame aspects of the paparazzi chasing her around and doing all that extra stuff. That's just not who she is. And she was saying how some women like Jennifer Lopez, who just can do fame so perfectly, or it makes it seem that way. I love how she props up other people in her book. I'm at the part now where she is married and has had children, and she had them like back to back. Like she got pregnant 3 months after giving birth, which is crazy. And she said it wasn't great for her body. It was a very stressful time, because with the first baby, there was paparazzi pictures of her all the time, and people saying that she was a bad mom. Like Matt Lauer asked her in an interview, everybody says that you're a bad mom. How does that make you feel? Like, what? That's awful. And there was one time a paparazzi picture. So she's holding her baby, and she has some a cup of water in her other hand. And when she's like stepping off the sidewalk, her heel goes like that. So people, they didn't watch the video, so they didn't realize that she had just tripped over her feet. And they just see the pictures, and it's like, oh, Britney's about to drop her kid and all this. And she's like, no, he wasn't phased off. You go watch the video, you can see what happened. But again, on obviously magazines and all, you don't have that. And this was back in 2005, 2006. The internet's not what it is today. And then when her second son was born, they are doing everything possible to make sure that he's not in the eyes of the paparazzi. And then all the paparazzi are like, oh, why is Brittany never showing her kids and all this? And she's like, y'all are the ones judging me, calling me fat for being pregnant. Why does my weight matter to you? What does that have anything to do with you? I'm not going to be a 17-year-old girl forever. Why would I want to put my kids in that spotlight? And I see this a lot of times. I'll tell you who I'm thinking about, who I'm not like standing up for this person or anything, but like Kelly PK. So with her first daughter, like she had her face on social media and everything. And now with her second daughter, she's been covering that baby's face and covering her first daughter's face. And people are like, what's the point? You've been showing your first daughter's face all the time. Why are you suddenly hiding your other daughter's face? And honestly, I wondered the same thing at times. But now I'm like, okay, you've had that first kid and you saw everything that can happen. So the second time around, you're like, okay, we're going to do things differently. Because I think with fame, like Brittany, she had no idea what being a mom and being famous would be like because nobody else in her family was famous. She had no idea, so I don't think we should judge her. Also, she's just been so apologetic to people in her life, whether that be family members, other famous people, people who have worked for her, and I just really appreciated that she just seemed so humble. And we talked about she's an icon, but she's so humble. And then in chapter 24 is when she starts working on the album of Blackout, which is the one that is like my favorite Britney Spears album, and I would make dance routines to and had so much fun with like my little friends and all that. We had a lot of fun, and that is when she like, and okay, I wanted to talk about my experience as well, so I kind of started that. But I was so scared to say that, oh, I like this. Well, I remember one time in the car with my mom, I was like, I really like this song. And she was like, oh, who's it by? And I was like, I'm not sure. She's like, maybe it's Katy Perry. And I was just like, I knew it was Britney Spears, but I was like, I thought Britney Spears was like really bad. And like, I wasn't supposed to like her, that she was like, just like this bad girl, you know, like very scandalous and all of that. So I was really scared to say that I liked Britney Spears. And the funny thing is, like years later when this book came out, my mom and I were talking about it, talking about this book and wanting to read it. I was only so scared to say that I liked Britney Spears because I thought she was just like, as I said, a bad girl, but like, no. The Blackout album is the one where I became a fan of Britney Spears. I would say I'm a casual fan, like I like her music and everything, but I am really liking her as a person reading this book. So that's my update in there for the day because, as I said, I don't know if I'm going to have time to get to it since I am going to the pharmacy and everything a little bit later than I typically would because, yeah, my dad, he has so much stress and he doesn't like, I have to air out all my stuff and I feel good once I get it all out, but he's just like, no, and then he's not feeling well, like he has a cold or something, and then he's blaming the AC vents at the Civic Center. He's like, and you're gonna go sit next to me in that same place for 3 hours. And I'm like, okay, I really don't think that's what it's coming from, but you do you. You do you. I just feel so bad that he has so much stress and there's just like really nothing you can do about it. I'm not gonna air out his problems on here. That's like as much as I'm going to say. I'm going to do a little bit of makeup because I have nothing to do for the next 10 minutes. I could read, yeah, but I just read for an hour and I don't like to read just, you know, I don't want to read too much at once is what I'm trying to say. I am about to have my pregame meal, which will be pizza rolls. But I did want to give an update on my experience like at the pharmacy and everything. So everything went well. I got my prescription. I'm set. So I always tell you, I always get really stressed beforehand thinking the worst case scenario is going to happen, but it doesn't end up happening with like everything literally, because you know, I keep a journal and I can flip through and I'm like, none of that bad stuff happened. So I just want to encourage y'all to think positively. You know, I'm trying to get my insurance card back in my wallet, but yeah, that was the issue, was that the doctor didn't have my insurance card or something. Cause, yeah, well, this is a new insurance card, so I didn't have that info. But so they told me, like the doctor told me like, yeah, your prescription's ready, but I never got anything from the pharmacy itself because CVS will usually send you a notification being like, hey, your prescription's ready for pickup. I never got that, so that's why I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be there or not. The doctor says it's gonna be there. I'm gonna show up and see what happens. So I get there and they're like, okay, there's nothing here for you. What is it that you need? So I tell the pharmacist my situation. She's like, okay, it's just because they didn't have your insurance, but we do have your prescription and can get that ready for you. So I just had to wait like 20 minutes. So you're giving me 20 minutes alone in Target. The only like extra thing I got were some ballpoint pens because one of my pens, my like black ink pen went out of ink this week, so I picked up a little, as I said, 2 ballpoint pens. So I didn't go too crazy in Target. I got everything else I need. I didn't get milk because all the milk, the dates were too close to being expired. So I don't have milk, but I can survive. It's gonna be okay. So I just wanted to let y'all know everything was okay. And even though our minds, if you have anxiety, I guess, jumps to worst case scenario, that usually, like 99% of the time, in my case, doesn't happen. So it was just a little like technical difficulty, but I got everything I needed and I'm all set, so I'm so blessed. And I just wanted to share that little positive encouragement for it. And I was able to get my card back in my wallet. So I'm gonna go have some pizza rolls. I am gonna bring my camera to the game tonight. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's a blue out, so we're wearing all blue, but y'all will see. I'm gonna wear my new jersey. This is funny to say because the state of New Jersey that my dad got me at the game that I didn't make it to that game, but I'm gonna wear that with blue pants. We're doing monochromatic for the 2nd time this week. That's been stuck in my head for days. Sadly, my team did not win. It happened. I think it was like 3-1. I think that was the score. But yeah, it was like I was just silent walking out the arena, going back to the car. I was not there. But that was very sad. But it happens as sports, but it's the playoffs, and that makes it all the more, you know, more important. Every game's important, but it sucks when it's in the playoffs. It's you gotta win 2 out of 3 of the series. I don't know how long the bus ride to Columbus is. I don't even remember what day the next game is, but it's gonna be a long bus ride, which I know they're not leaving tonight, but travel, but this would have been the shorter of the 2 of the teams we could have played. And yeah, it's sad to lose, but it's what happens. I still had a good time. And you know, I'm reading Britney Spears' book, so when they played Hit Me Baby One More Time, I was so into it because that song has been stuck in my head all day, and really for 2 days since reading about the creation of it and the music video and everything yesterday, so I was really hyped when they played that and just super excited. So yes, I did have fun, but I would have preferred the scoreboard to have been 2 famous people. Oh, it's Thursday, by the way, but 2 famous people who I consider like my red flag likes. That is Zach Bryan and Aaron Rodgers. This is unauthorized biography, if you will, on Aaron Rodgers called Out of the Darkness, The Mystery of Aaron Rodgers by Ian O'Connor, who's written books about Derek Jeter, Bill Belichick, Coach K. Those were the ones I saw on Goodreads. So he's written quite a few sports biographies. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is such a fascinating person. I talk about in my short that I posted 2 days ago for y'all, that he's the best quarterback I've ever seen. Yes, I have seen Tom Brady, but Tom Brady, he lost to the Carolina Panthers in the game that I saw. But Aaron Rodgers, just the way he throws the ball, like literally insane. Never seen anything like it. I just think he's an extremely fascinating person. Like there's this quote from Colin Cowherd on the back. Aaron Rodgers is one of the most uniquely complex superstar athletes of my lifetime. And Ian O'Connor pulls back dozens of layers, maybe hundreds. It says, Ian O'Connor pulls back the curtain on 4-time NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers, delivering the definite portrait of the legendary yet mysterious quarterback who has astounded, enraged, and captivated fans of America's #1 sport. So I got this all logged, and this is like really nice quality. It's by Mariner. Really nice quality book. We love that, which I've really just been drawn to nonfiction lately. So I'm really intrigued. I finished Here Be Icebergs by Katia Adai. I'm sorry if I am mispronouncing the author's name, but I'm giving this a 3-star. I don't do decimal ratings for my anthology books that I read, but this was good, and yeah, I would recommend it if any of it sounds intriguing to you. Adai's writing style is very unique, and it did take a little while to get used to, and it does vary story to story, but it is very different. I love how this is a collection showing what the word family means, how family can come in all different ways, and a lot of times you're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, and there's so much underneath of what makes a family, why that family is the way that they are. My favorite stories in here were the first one, The Hunger Angel. It is going from the person's basically a memory from every year of their life or their most recent memory going all the way back to their first memory. I thought that was really intriguing. The second one is If Anything Ever Happens to You. That one was just fun and entertaining. We see these siblings who one of their children is about to turn a year old, and they're like, he's never seen the ocean before. He can't turn 1 and has never seen the ocean before. So they go to the beach and it gets kind of chaotic. And then story number 4 in here is Alaska, and that one is about basically the family's history, and I really liked that one. Gardening is my last favorite of them. This is about a politician who has been imprisoned and how he goes about his life after being a powerful man to being confined. I thought that was just very different, and I hadn't read anything like that. So yes, this is a good collection. I just don't see myself rereading it in the future. I am here to talk about The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. I don't know what percent I'm at. I will just show y'all in here. I have about 40 pages left, so I do think I'm gonna finish it today, but on Thursday I do end the vlog. I stopped vlogging at an earlier time because I have to edit the vlogs. I know this is gonna be a long one. I want to go over my thoughts. Today we are in her conservatorship. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Conservatorship. Her dad owed a lot of people money. And like a lot of money. Her mom is like, Brittany, you need to come over right now. The police are after you. And Brittany's like, okay, I haven't done anything illegal, so what's this about? So she goes over to her mom's house with her boyfriend. There's helicopters flying all around. And that is when they tell her that the arrangement that's being made, they're like, it's just for your well-being, blah, blah, blah. But now that she knows that her dad was like partnered up with this big company to pay off his debts, if he's in charge of her money, Britney Spears, pop icon, obviously making a ton of money. And all this while they're like, we're doing this for your well-being. They're like, we're gonna send you on a world tour. You're gonna be on sitcoms, doing like guest star appearances. You're gonna go on Ellen. You're gonna have a residency in Las Vegas. And she's like, if I'm so unwell, why are y'all making me go to like all over the world and going on sitcoms? It doesn't make sense. Like they were even like, she would have to tell her dad when she's going to the bathroom. Like it literally insane. So from my understanding so far, because obviously we're still in the midst of it, I think that he was getting her money to pay off his debts. But again, I still have book left. I still have pages to go, so I might get more clarity, but as of right now. My first note is on 23. So Kevin, who is her first husband and the father of her children, I didn't know he had like a music career and that's what like his ambitions were. Like he wanted to be a musician, but after the divorce, things were like, everybody was making fun of him, being like, oh, you lost Britney Spears and all that. And she's just like, how is that supposed to help me? Like, I don't want anybody tearing down the father of my children. I really respect her for that she didn't want people like coming for him, tearing him down. I never knew he had anything to do with music. I thought he was a nobody who but when I say that, I mean, I thought that he wasn't famous. But apparently he was trying to have a music career. I did not know that. At this time period after the divorce, like Paris Hilton is really looking out for Britney, going over to her house because she knows she's having a hard time. And I'm like, that's so sweet. This time period, we get to the point of when she shaves her head. I remember kids in school making fun of this. And I mean, I remember seeing the pictures. That was a wild time. And like conspiracy theories about it. Crazy. Like with some of that I'm just like, what? Nobody was giving her grace. She shaved her head because she was trying to see her children. Kevin wouldn't let her see the children. Paparazzi are recording the whole thing of her being outside the house, being like, I'm supposed, like, because of their like custody arrangement, like she's supposed to be able to see her children. He's not allowing it. She's a mom, just want to see her kids, so she goes like crazy, you know, and shaves her head because she's just like, oh my gosh, like, and one of her friends was like, I wouldn't just get a haircut, I would have burnt down the whole city. Nobody was giving her grace. The media wasn't giving her grace. They were all like, she's a bad mom. Her parents aren't giving her any grace, and that's like all that she wants. She's like, I am going through a divorce. I'm going through a custody battle for my two children. And nobody seems to care. She did interviews for the album. I guess it was Blackout. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel was asking her questions all about, do you think you're a bad mom? She's like, nobody was asking me what it was like to be raising two children but making an album at the same time. Nobody's asking me about that, like what it's like to put out an album as a mom and going on doing these videos and all as a mom. They're asking me if I think I'm a bad mom. Like, literally, make it make sense. All that era of her life, of when she was just trying to see her children, the shaving the head, it still pains her. And she does do like a little introduction in the audiobook, is not in the physical book, where she says that she can't be the one to read the audiobook because it just is too much for her. And that's so understandable, because reading this, I can't imagine having to like read this out loud and you're essentially reading to an audience. No, I could not. I just don't understand the whole thing with coming there. And there's another one that I don't understand. I guess he's doing all this just to feel like he has power over her, because I mean, she is like one of the most famous women in the world, but he's like, I can take your kids, I can make all these headlines about you. I guess it's a power thing, because I feel like so much in this world leads back to people just wanting power and control. That's my understanding. I'm not sure. But okay. Sarah Silverman, I've always heard bad things about her, of people not liking her, but this is so bad. Later that night, so this is at an award show, the VMAs 2007. Later that night, the comedian Sarah Silverman came out on stage to roast me. She said at the age of 25, I did everything worthwhile in my life I'd ever do. She called my 2 babies the most adorable mistakes you'll ever see. I didn't hear that until later though. At the time I was backstage sobbing hysterically. Literally, what the F, Sarah? You are a beat, like... That's so messed up. I don't know how you can say that about somebody else. Like, that makes me so angry. Literally, like, if she sees this vlog. That's just so awful. I don't understand. And a lot of today was about the double standard for male versus female stars. I can really think of like Motley Crue. They're doing drugs, having sex tapes, wrecking hotels, abusing people. Nobody really seems to care. They're like, yeah, that's just the rock and roll lifestyle. Britney Spears, who's not even really doing, she's not doing hard drugs. Like, the only drug she's doing is Adderall, which, I mean, I think a lot of everyday suburban people are doing Adderall, to be honest. And like, she's like, yeah, I would get drunk on beer sometimes, but like, what's the big deal? Because again, so many people do that. Like, that's not even like a hard thing. Like, she's not an alcoholic. But everybody was painting her to be such a bad person. I talked about yesterday with my experience where I was scared to tell people that I liked Britney Spears because of this. The media did such a good job at this like propaganda against her, that she's this bad girl and so scandalous and a party girl. Like, no. Speaking of somebody else I don't get, I don't understand her mom. So her mom and dad's relationship, very toxic. I think they were married twice, or maybe there was just a time of separation and they reconciled. But then in like the 90s, after Britney's fame, they got divorced again. But all the while with this conservatorship, the mom is just like siding with the dad. I don't understand that at all, because she knows how bad the dad is, of how abusive he's been to her, to the mom. I don't know how she's allowing that to happen to her daughter. I don't know if money is involved or if the dad is paying the mom. I don't know, but I don't understand the mom's motives. But another huge thing with this book is Britney, like, I think that the process of this book is healing her inner child. And I think that maybe just her process, because this came out, what, 4 years ago? I'm not remember. I think it was 2023. So 3 years ago, that there's so much about her just feeling like a little girl. And especially during the time of the conservatorship, she really regressed because she had parental controls put on her phone. She was just being watched all the time like she was a little kid. Like, you know, she was just, parents are like, you know, they had bodyguards and everything too, just watching over her, where she felt like she couldn't be a grown woman. They took away from her being a woman, and she was reverting back to being a little girl. And I also only think with fame that you kind of get stuck at the age you became famous at. I don't think that's true for every single case, and I don't know if that's the case here, but that was very it's sad. But I do think she has healed and has come to terms with a lot of stuff from what I'm reading here. It seems like it. Yeah, she has a lot of wisdom just from the experiences that she has under her belt. But that is where I'm going to, oh, sorry, Fred. That's where I'm going to end the vlog. Let's see the weekly wrap up. I know I hauled one book this week. How many books did I finish this week? I finished 3 books this week. Wow, I did not feel like it. But good for me. Good for me. I have read over 100 pages on Monday and Tuesday. Yesterday, I didn't. We had the hockey game yesterday. And today, I would think I'm going to read over 100 pages. But I only know I've read 18 pages so far. I don't know how many pages I've read in there. As for next week's vlog, I originally didn't even have a vlog on the docket, but I'm like, okay, I can still vlog. Like, I want to vlog. I'm having fun. So I am going to vlog. It's just going to be random cozy vlog. We're still going to be sticking to mood reads. I don't know if it's going to be Annie Bot. Don't remember the author of that, but that's like a AI. This guy makes an AI girlfriend, but like a robot. And she is, I think, starting to question her purpose in the world. Or it's going to be one of these. You can't see these other two, but one of these. Not exactly sure where I will be with my reading come Monday. That's our sneak peek, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, leave a rain emoji in the comments below, and as always, comment, rate, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!